Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have finally come out, unfortunately to some admittedly terrible bugs and performance issues, but in any sense, I genuinely feel like these games have been the most fun I've had in a Pokemon game since at least like 9 months ago. Pokemon Legends Arceus came out then, so and that game was pretty fun. But I guess before that game, I would probably have to say Pokemon Black and White too. But of course, with every release of a new generation in the series, we get to see a brand new batch of around 100 or 110 or so Pokemon. Some of these designs are absolutely insane, while some are, for a lack of a better term, less than desired. And so today, I have compiled my favorite new Pokemon from the games, and unfortunately my least favorite Pokemon from the games as well. Quick reminder that there will be spoilers for these Pokemon games that have not been officially announced by the Pokemon Company, so if you aren't cool with that, then this is your warning to click off the video. But before you do go, if you could, just leave a little quick like and subscribe at the bottom below. That goes for the ones that are staying, you hear? Now let's get right into this. In every generation, unless you're Gen 3 for some weird reason, they bless us with a brand new pseudo-legendary Pokemon. Usually it's a new dragon type, and in this gen, it's no different. Introducing Baxcalibur, the ice dragon type Pokemon. Baxcalibur is just a sick design, with the name origin quite literally being in its name. Back, sorta axe, Excalibur, Komodo dragon thing. Listen, I didn't think that I was any good at explaining the name at all. You'll just have to wait for a Lockstin video to explain that one day. Overall, Baxcalibur is just a really solid Pokemon design, and I'm really glad to have used it in my main playthrough of my team, because mainly in my last game in Sword and Shield, I decided to skip out on Dragapult, and that was a mistake. Because believe me, Baxcalibur here is no joke, and he is so strong. Though I guess that is to be expected since it is a pseudo-legendary. I shall never ever in my life skip out on a pseudo-legend ever again, unless it's Komodo. So Scarlet and Violet has, strangely enough, given us several new bird-type Pokemon, and well, chances are, they're not all gonna be a big hit. Some are great, like Kilowattrel and Espathra, but in the middle of the pack, we do have Bombirdier, but then we go to the bottom of the barrel, the absolute disappointment known as Squawkabilly. The best way I can really describe this Pokemon is that it's like Shodok's cousin that everyone just does not like. I just find the design really repulsive, especially with the terrible Josuke wannabe cut that just looks like it has pimples all over it. I don't care if it has 4 colors, it does not change how bad it looks to me, and it's a shame because it does have Intimidate as its ability, which is really good. So why not just give the ability to a good Pokemon, Game Freak? Sorry Squawkabilly, you're just no good, dude. A not so kept secret from the new games is that there are new Paradox Pokemon in them. Some may have seen a little glimpse of the weird looking Donphan Pokemon from the trailers recently. Those are in fact those new Paradox Pokemon. Basically, they're all just Pokemon from the past and future, and they all have odd names associated with them, like Iron Gigalus or the Brute Bonnet. But the best out of these new Pokemon designs is the brand new Paradox Hariyama, which is entitled Iron Hands. This new Cybertronic Hariyama is absolutely crazy, and I just love the design so much. It's also one of the very first electric fighting type Pokemon, a type that I have personally been waiting for a very long time, and it just adds to the levels of hype this Pokemon fills me with. I think overall all of the Paradox Pokemon are great, but this one is certainly a tier above the rest. I can't wait to see all the full art for all of the new Paradox Pokemon though. Now this spot was really hard to put together because it's actually between 2 Pokemon, and fortunately our Bolivia is free to go. Because it may be a disappointment, it's at least not all terrible. No, this spot has been reserved specifically for Skullvillain. Where do I even begin? Alright, it's the first ever fire grass type Pokemon, and it's beyond awful. I can find better designs for grass fire type Pokemon made by fans online. This official one given to us just looks terrible. Not only is its stats beyond mid, don't be fooled by the high special attack and attack stats. The defenses and speed is just doo-doo caca. Oh, but I guess you could scarf it. Nah man, this ain't just too slow to even be considered to be scarfed. This Pokemon will probably be UU's biggest threat. Just you all wait for that. But anywhere else, it's just a sick joke. The biggest W to take from this generation would have to be Reverum. This Pokemon completely makes up the fall from grace that Colossal became for me personally when I used it in my original Shield playthrough. Reverum is everything Colossal wanted to be, but just couldn't be. A cool Pokemon. A little fun fact actually, Reverum's actually been shown off a lot in a few trailers leading up to the release of Scarlet and Violet. It's been shown off as the little engine in Team Star's cars. And as soon as I found out about this thing, I really just needed to use it on my team. Poison Steel type is just a sick type. It hasn't been done yet before, so I just really wanted to use it. It's not even that slow either, having a pretty decent speed tier. Although I was saddened to have found out that it doesn't get speed boost as a hidden ability, since it would have been perfect. Filter is pretty solid too, I'll admit that, so I'll take it all things considered. Admittedly, the internet has actually made me hate this specific Pokemon. Only because the jokes and memes on this Pokemon when it was officially announced made me actually wish I was fully deaf. Lechonk sucks, and I'm sorry little buddy, but the internet did this to you. If anybody watching has a problem with this, just know that it's your fault entirely. Also, I'm just so tired of hearing all the, oh my god, Lechonk, it's such a funny name, haha, r/chonkers. It was just a really dark time of Scarlet and Violet hype for me, because it just never really ended. I don't really have much of a problem with it. It's a generic rodent type Pokemon that every Pokemon game has. I just wish the Pokemon company never gave it the name Lechonk. It would have saved me from so much mental torment on Twitter for at least 4 days. Everything isn't always what it seems. Even the most everyday average Joe can be something that's great. That's a design philosophy that I'd like to think that went into making Palafin. At first, you might not think it really changed. Like, so what? Finizen evolved and it gained a heart on its chest? But that's actually not the case. Its ability is 0 to hero, and it changes it into an absolute behemoth, a literal superhero. Only when you switch it out though. Which ultimately doesn't really matter since it does get flip turn as a move upon level up, and also you can also just hard switch out for it to activate as well. Its stats are insane, like 160 base power of attack, insane. Like what? And it also has 100 base speed, like my god, what were they on when making this Pokemon? Also, if I see like one more All Might comparison, I'm gonna blow my stack bro, because it's clearly inspired or based off Clark Kent turning into Superman, and that's really cool. Now, I've always really liked bug-type Pokemon. As weak as they unfortunately are, they're always just usually really cool. And honestly, one of my favorite Pokemon in general is a Selgor, a bug-type Pokemon. But Game Freak do love, for some reason, to treat bug-type Pokemon with a lot of disrespect. But man, Spidops just fucking sucks. Its stats are trash, and if you speak too loud, it will probably faint. Who would even use it? It's literally worse than Sunflora, a Pokemon infamously known as one of the weakest Pokemon ever made. Overall, I think bug types were kinda shafted this generation, but Spidops is inexcusable. It's awful in every sense, and I pity the kid out there who will probably grow up with this thing as its favorite Pokemon. Like, holy shit, I'm so sorry, Timmy. Keeping the hate train rolling, the overall worst new Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet is, in my opinion, Pawmot. The entire Pawmi line just sucks. Let me get that straight. A type that I've been wanting for a while being electric fighting, and although we did get the Giga Chad known as Iron Hands, Pawmot is technically the first, and honestly, I hate that because it's just terrible. I'm not one to bash Game Freak with their new Pokemon designs, but holy fuck, I've never seen a more lazy design in my life. We go from Pawmi, pretty alright, you know, I just have to see what it turns into, then it turns into Pawmo. Now this is where the issues start. The evolution is just Pawmi deciding to fucking stand up, but no need to fear, we do have one more evolution. But it just gets even worse. I don't know what went wrong with it. It's just so uninspired. I don't even know what it was even going for design-wise. It doesn't even scream fighting type to me, yet it has it. It's unbelievably disappointing, especially because it's the Pikachu clone of the generation, and honestly, we'll just have to wait for next gen to see whatever new clone they'll give us next. Ceruledge is the GOAT. No if, no ands, or no buts about them. In all honesty, Ceruledge and Armorage are both great designs to me. I just personally think Ceruledge is way cooler. Not a diss to Armorage though, I'm sure they're both homies. They have freaking swords for hands, and it also has my favorite color combos, so it just makes it a big step above the rest. Its typing also being Fire Ghost is just sick as fuck. I fucking love that typing so much. It's just one problem though. I wasn't able to use them for my main playthrough. As a nerd and a loyal supporter of Team Fuecoco, I had to eventually come to terms of having Fuecoco's final evolution becoming the same type as Ceruledge, and the competitive player in me just couldn't have overlapping types on the team, so I had to unfortunately drop them from the team. But I did make a personal vow to myself that once I did beat the game, I would shiny hunt the pre-evolution to Ceruledge and Armorage, Charcadet, and evolve it into a Ceruledge. And although its shiny isn't so different from the regular form, I still love it all the same. Ceruledge is a masterclass in Pokemon design, and Game Freak is gonna have a big problem in the future because I don't think they can be able to top this type of design ever again. I freaking love this Pokemon. Game Freak has certainly gone a different direction with Pokemon designs ever since Generation 8, and I, for one, really welcome this type of change. We've been getting a lot of great designs, and I mean overall this list was fairly difficult to pick between my favorites and my least favorites. They better keep it up with the quality of it, because I can really see that they're putting a lot more thought and effort into what they look like and how they're designed. Even if the ones that suck don't admit the sense of quality that the others do. Now if only Game Freak got better at making good Pokemon competitively, because man, you can look at some of these Pokemon and see that they were made with VGC in mind, and then some are just jokes that make you feel puzzled if they're even going to be remotely viable. But I guess if all Pokemon were good, none of them would be, so it's kind of a gray area to really discuss. Anyway guys, that was my list. Did you hate it? Did you like it? Or all of the above? I would love to know some of y'all's favorites and some of your least favorites from the games as well. Even if you saw one that you like that was on my top 5 worst list, Pokemon likes and dislikes will forever be subjective. That's all I have for today, so I will see you guys all next time. Happy playing, everyone.